What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Midwest Family. Today is water sample day. So today we're going to take some water samples of our well water and get them analyzed. We do this every year since we've lived here, just to monitor levels of materials that are in the drinking water. Today we're going to do it outside at the yard hydrant. Instead of inside at the kitchen. We have for those that don't know, we have a water softener and a reverse osmosis unit. The water softener softens the whole house, and the reverse osmosis unit is just for a little spigot at the kitchen sink. So it's not the whole house on the RO unit, just the one drinking faucet. So I'd like to get the hardness level of the unsoftened water to see if our softener needs adjustment. It seems too soft to me, so I want to check that out. We're going to use Midwest Labs. This is just a generic water sample, drinking water sample kit from them. But we're gonna turn the water on and let that run for about 5 minutes or so. And while that's going, I can kind of show you what's in the little baggie. So we're gonna make a mess here. We probably won't let it run for 5 minutes because it's not a very long run to the house. But you want, when you're using like the kitchen faucet, you want to take the aerator out and run it for a couple minutes, because that aerator can harbor bacteria. But this kit comes with 3 bottles, and depending on what kind of stuff you want to sample, you'd use 1 bottle or 2 bottles or all 3 bottles or 2 different bottles. So there's a sterile bottle. This is for, like, they call it coliform. This measures if there's any sign of bacteria in the water. The last few times we've done it, we've used this inside the house and we get no bacteria hit. Being that we're outside at the yard hydrant, I'm not going to do this one. We're not drinking that water, and I'm pretty confident in the water in the house. But we got these 250 milliliter bottles. We're gonna fill both of these for our test today. So the test we're gonna do today will measure sodium, calcium, magnesium, pH, total hardness, conductivity, total dissolved solids by calculation, nitrate, nitrogen, iron, manganese, sulfate, chloride, and fluoride. So those are the tests we're going to run on this batch. So we're going to run over here. We'll give it another minute, I guess. When you do these tests, pay attention to the directions. This test just says that it needs to be cooled, so I'll have to package this in ice. And if you did the bacteria test, this has to be at the lab within 24 hours, otherwise the test is no good. So use a good credited lab. The state approves this lab for drinking water testing and stuff like that, so that's one reason why we're going to use it, and it's closer than the state lab. But you got other options, and depending on where you live and the labs in your area, you know, the state lab might be best. But the I guess this is one of the things you should do when you live out in the country on your own well water. When you live in town, the water system does these tests all the time, so they know what they're distributing and what you're purchasing from them. But when you have your own well, it's up to you to make sure the water's safe. So we're gonna slow this down and take these samples. So we're gonna slow this down. You really want like a pencil width. I don't know if I'll get that with this. We'll call that good. It's kind of a pencil width. So we're gonna fill the two 250 milliliter bottles. Now I did wash my hands, but it doesn't really matter for these two. But you do want to try to stay as clean and sterile as you can, just so you get an accurate test. So when you take the caps off, don't set them on the ground, don't put your fingers in it, especially on the bacteria test. That'll probably be an instant fail. Alright, we got our two samples here. I'm gonna write the date and the time on there, fill out the paperwork, and get it dropped off at the lab. We're not gonna ship it, we're gonna drive it in. I can't remember off the top of my head what this test costs, but I'll let you know in probably, I think it's 5 to 7 days is what it takes to get the results back. So, yeah. If you are gonna do this for a house loan or something, they do have some tests on here that say like FHA loan, or depending on, you can test for almost anything that you want. So there's a lot of options, a lot of things you can test for, but those are the items we're testing for today. Like I said, I'm going to get the paperwork filled out, get this sent in, and we'll see you in a few days. So stick around. Alright everybody, so it's been not quite a week, but it's been, I think it might have been over a week. But we got our results back from the water samples we took, and we're going to go over those with you real quick. We did not do the coliform sample this time, since we took it from the outside yard hydrant. The last time we did take that because it was from the kitchen sink. So the kitchen sink one has gone through a water softener, and the one we took outside obviously did not. So here are our results. So these are results from a week ago. You have our the sodium levels. They even give you a color chart for no apparent problem for green, potential problem for blue, problem likely in yellow, and level exceeds the EPA limits in red. So our sodium level was 35 parts per million. Calcium was 63 parts per million. Magnesium 16.7 parts per million. Our pH was a 6.8. Nitrate 13.2. So the EPA's limit is 10 parts per million. If it's over the 10 parts, you're not supposed to drink it, use it for cooking, stuff like that. We have an RO unit at the kitchen sink, which we did a video on. We can put that link up in the corner. When we actually we did not install that. I had a plumber install that, but I did put a new faucet spigot on there. But so obviously we don't drink that water, but 10 parts per million is the EPA limit. You do want to be under that. The symptoms are, like, they call it blue baby syndrome for infants and stuff, so you definitely don't want to use that for formula, stuff like that for babies or pregnant people, pregnant moms. Sulfates 26.4, conductivity 0.632. So we're on the higher spectrum of the sulfates. Hardness 13.2. We do have a water softener, like I said, so if you live in Nebraska and you have well water, which you have to have pretty much well water in Nebraska, you will have hard water. Iron 0.2, so it's kind of up there. Magnesium non-detect, chloride 7.9, and fluoride at a 0.3. So all in all, we got good water except for the nitrate issue. But like I said, we don't drink this one, so it's okay. I did want to do it outside, so I knew what the hardness was in grains per gallon. So I can check the water softener and see if we can make an adjustment on that to do any use less salt maybe. These are the results from last year from the kitchen sink. Our sodium is high, probably because it went through the softener. Our calcium, there you go. You kind of know what it was from last year to this year. So last year our nitrate was just a touch lower. But all in all, they're pretty much the same. This one did have the total coliform sample, which was a non-detect. That just measures the possibility of microbacterial growing in the water. So that's good that, you know, that was a non-detect. Yeah. Total dissolved solids went down. Conductivity went up a little bit. Sulfates went down. Our pH was down a little bit. Magnesium was higher. Yeah. But there you go. They did on the print off. There's a sheet here that has suggestion for water quality guidelines for human consumption. So depending on, you know, what your levels are, they kind of recommend what you should do. I did forget to see what that test costed us this time. I think it was like $75 $80, something like that. So it's not terrible, especially when you only do it like once a year. But it is something you probably should do if you're on a well. And you know, if you live out not on a public water system, test your water at least once just to see where you're at. But yeah, we're gonna end the video with that. We appreciate you guys sticking around watching. We hope you stick around for the next one, and we'll see you then. Stay safe.